Hi, I'm Lee at Iridium. Welcome to the A to Z of rock and metal. So we're up to the letter E, and I'm dedicating this entire episode to one of the most amazing bands I've found in recent years. Well, quite a few years now. It's quite a few years that I've been into this band, but that's Eclipse. So if you don't know this band, and a lot of people will watch this channel because I cover a lot of melodic rock and metal stuff, and Eclipse are probably quite well known if you're into that side of the music of rock and metal, so the more melodic sort of side. They're quite well known, but there's so many people that do not know about them. Probably a lot of my subscribers, because a lot of you guys are from the US, a lot of you guys are probably, you don't hear about some of these bands in Europe. So that's why I'm covering Eclipse today, to hopefully reach some more fans, people that can become fans of Eclipse, one of my favourite bands. And I haven't actually thought about who's my favourite band. They swap around a little bit, but these would definitely be right near the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some clips from some of their music to give you an idea of how great this band are. So you won't regret it. Stay to the video till the end, because they're one of these bands that have improved and improved and improved as well. Right up to this day, they're one of the best bands out there. So I suppose you could say more overlooked rather than underrated, because they are rated from people who know about this melodic, heavy rock sort of music. So a little bit of background on them. From Stockholm, Sweden. Formed in 1999. Like I said, they're melodic hard rock, at time metal passages, because they've got the guitar right up in the mix, on Frontiers. Frontiers have got some of the best bands, man. If you want to compare them, and we've got to do that, more of a modern Whitesnake, sort of Joe Lynn Turner era Rainbow, sort of. Sometimes I'd even compare, I was thinking about this today, like TNT. Because maybe not because of the vocals or anything like that, but because of that, they've occasionally got that sort of European feel to them sometimes as well. So, that's as far as I could say. Them three bands, I can't, because they've got their own sound, they're hard sometimes to pinpoint. But, if you go along them lines, that's what you're looking at. So, also the singer is involved. Erik Mårtensson's the singer, songwriter, vocalist, guitarist, producer, right? He also has been in a lot of other projects created by Frontiers, Wet, which a lot of people know about, Ammunition, Nordic Union. The list goes on and on. The list does go on and on. And also he's even written albums for the late Jimmy Jameson, a whole album of Survivor. Jimmy Jameson of Survivor, done an album for him, and he's written an album for Kimball and Jameson, which is the Toto singer and the obviously Survivor singer. So, like I say, sometimes overlooked by a lot of people, but obviously respected massively in the rock and metal community, Erik Mårtensson especially. But his band are fantastic. So you've got Erik Mårtensson, vocals and guitar. You've got Magnus Henriksson. He's one of the most underrated guitarists in the world. Man, he does some amazing stuff with his guitar. He's one of these guitarists that, he'll do stuff with his guitar and you'll think, wow, how did he do that? He doesn't stick to he doesn't sound like anyone else. He does some amazing stuff, some real inventive stuff on the guitar. Philip Krusner on drums and Victor Krusner on the bass. So they're two brothers. The bass guitarist has actually recently only come into the band. There's been a few changes in the band, but that's the main one lately. Let's just say they're a brilliant band, but some of these snippets I'm going to show you will just prove that. So we're going to go through their discography, because it's a show just about Eclipse. We've got time to talk about them in a little bit more detail. First album that came out 2001, The Truth and a Little More.
You blind my eyes against my will, cut me off the last field. I've got nothing to regret, so you found my soul. You want it, you need it, but you're too blind to see it.
It's actually they were signed to Z Records back then. So it was weird. This is a band that didn't hit the ground running completely on their debut. What they've done, they've got better and better. Ain't that a cool thing to do? The amount of bands that have come on the scene, had a debut, smashed it out of the park and never matched it again. This is definitely not one of them bands. This is a band that get better and better. So The Truth and a Little More is not a bad album, but they're just finding their feet, trying to, you know, find their sound, if you like. And there's glimpses of it, but not completely. So next, the second album, Sophomore Effort, 2004, Second to None.
Did it have to die? Now I walked away, and when you understand, I won't be here waiting on the streets of gold. I won't be here waiting for you on the streets of gold. I always wondered why I was always at your side.
On Frontiers now. So they've joined Frontiers, which is, you know what I think of Frontiers. They bring some of the best music about. So this is where they started yet again to veer more towards their sound they like now. More glimpses of it rather than the debut. You know, hearing more of that melody, even though they're very melodic from the beginning, but more of the melody you expect from Eclipse. Second to None's a great album, but still finding their feet. So the next album came out in 2008, and yet again, this is, it's like an 80% step towards what they are now. And that's Are You Ready to Rock?
Same old thing, a different name. Too many times I've been playing this game. I need you, the things that we do. I'm begging you, can't believe it's true. You tease me, I can't break free. I'm on the ground, baby, can't you see? It ain't love, no, this ain't real. It's just something so weird. It's breaking my heart again. It's breaking my heart again. It's breaking my heart.
2008, some great songs on here. Breaking My Heart Again. To Mend a Broken Heart is just amazing. Unbreakable, some of the, you know, they're the standout tracks for me. I think To Mend a Broken Heart was actually covered by Revolution Saints.
Sometimes we're falling apart and we vanish without a trace. Oh, the sunlight is gone and the storm is coming our way. When all that is gone, I'll hear your heart again. Oh, when death is taking off the chase, tell me just how do we mend a broken heart? Tell me how one can live when all is lost. Just how to mend a broken heart.
So, you know, like I said, well respected, this band. Other bands know the greatness of Eclipse without a doubt. That was 2008, Are You Ready to Rock? And like I said, this was near enough. This was nearly there to their greatness. So then what they did from then on, they have produced every album from now on has been the top, right at the top of their game. They are, you know, they're in so many polls at the top people's lists, and well deserved, well deserved. What a great band, and this next album was the start of it. 2012, Bleed and Scream.
Empires built the broken bones, conquerors carve their names in stone. Where are they now? Everything's withered away. Yeah, they have fallen one by one, building castles to the sun. Only ruins can be found on battlegrounds.
Man, what an album. I can't believe, when I first heard this album, I just thought this was absolutely fantastic. And that's when Eclipse became without a doubt, one of my favourite bands. This is where they actually had their first official video on Frontiers for the title track, Bleed and Scream.
And now you're coming back to me. Can I forgive and forget? Whoa, when you bleed and you feel that your world's crashing down, I'll be gone, I'll be on my way. When you cry in the night and you reach out for me, I'm not there, I don't care about you. When you bleed and scream.
And man, this just showed the world this is what they're all about. And I think this is when they started to get noticed more by the melodic heavy rock community. What a great album, Bleed and Scream. And next they move on, if you could, and they actually improve on it, in my opinion, Armageddonized.
When you got nothing left to lose, when you got nothing left to prove, when you fall into your knees, you better stand on your feet.
So 2015, this actually improved a little bit more on Bleed and Scream, which was an amazing album, like I said, but I think this was even better. Some amazing songs come out of this, melody all the way through this, but keeping heaviness. They've always got a heaviness about them. So if you're a metal fan that likes a lot of melody, this band would appeal to you. If you're an AOR fan, you know, that likes a lot of catchy tunes, they appeal to you. Melodic, heavy rock, AOR, metal, they appeal, for me, they can appeal to anyone.
This is an emergency, screaming for help, I feel I'm falling. This is an emergency, somewhere in the distance hear you calling. And from ashes to ashes, dust to dust, no exit, no escape out of the storm.
Some great songs on Armageddonized. I don't want to say I'm sorry kicking the album off. It's got real Sykesy, John Sykesy sort of guitar going on this, you know, that rhythm, rhythm, absolutely fantastic. Stand on Your Feet's a great song. The Storm on this Armageddonized, that song is absolutely fantastic. Check it out. Please, Armageddonized is a fantastic album, 2015. So next up, through their career, they entered, and I know this can sound a bit shit, but why not? In 2016, they entered the selection part of the Eurovision Song Contest for Sweden.
We are runaways, runaways, just like vagabonds, wandering over wasted land. 'Cause we are runaways, runaways, just like vagabonds, wandering on these roads we say. We are runaways.
With the song Runaways. And this was great because what they didn't, Runaways just would have fitted on any of their albums. It was just Eclipse all over, had the same sort of melody, but heavy. I don't think they made it I don't think they actually made it through at the semi-final of the stage. It was obviously a bit too heavy, I suppose, for the Eurovision Song Contest. I can't imagine them doing very well on there because most of them songs are shit, aren't they? Whereas Eclipse are one of the best bands in the world, in my opinion. So there you go. But quite cool for them to enter it. But there you go. You know, I wouldn't have expected them to get that far, being as they're quite a heavy band. So next up, 2017. Now, we talk about these last few albums. You know, Bleed and Scream onwards are just 10 out of 10 albums most of the time. Momentum could even improve on Armageddonized.
And ride like a hurricane, ride, never ever look back. Ride like a bullet train, ride, never ever look back. You don't take a chance, so never look back. No.
There's even a little bit more. I mean, look at some of the songs on here. Vertigo, great opening track. Never Look Back. Killing Me, is a fantastic, amazing, catchy song.
But is it killing you like it's killing me? Say, is it killing you like it's killing me? I swear you're burning down the towns we're living in, the place that gotta tear it down. But is it killing you like it's killing me?
Downfall of Eden. And then this has got a folky sound to it. And they've actually, through their career before this, touched upon this sort of slightly folky music. Listen, I'm not saying they're a folk band, but what they do, they experiment and they add little folky elements, which are really cool. And they did that on the actual Bleed and Scream album, which I failed to mention before, with Battlegrounds. Was the first time I heard that sort of folky sort of side to them. But it's definitely a little bit more on Downfall of Eden. Absolutely fantastic track. This has got one of the best ballads I've ever heard, and that's Hurt on this album. And the album closes with the absolutely amazing Black Rain, which is like such an anthem. You know, it's heavy. It's the perfect closer. It's a little bit of a longer track, you know, and they're not one of these bands that does massive 7 or 8 minute tracks. This one's only about 5.5 minutes probably, but it's longer than their normal sort of tracks. They usually come and go and hit you quickly and go. But Black Rain is just like, I think I mentioned it before, it's like their Alter Bridges Blackbird song. It's their song that at the moment is their epic. Momentum is probably my favourite album from them, but they're all fantastic. It's just not a little break from the studio albums now. So I actually managed to see Eclipse on this tour, the Momentum tour, at the Borderline in London. Borderline is sadly closed now due to not reasons through COVID or anything. I think it closed before that. But I went to see them and it was just amazing because Borderline was only a small capacity crowd. You know, wasn't many people in there. It was only a small venue and I was right up there at the front and they were fantastic live, and to hear them loud in a little venue like that. And it's amazing, you know, because they've got a sound like a huge sound, like they would be, I don't know, we talked about the 80s before. I'm not going to say they're like an 80s band, but they've got elements, obviously. But if this band were at the height of 80s, you know, in the mid 80s, they would have just made millions. You know, it's the state of the industry now. The state of the music industry has stopped that. You know, the streaming and downloading and all this shit has stopped bands like this becoming huge. And this band have got a huge sound and they should be huge. They deserve it, every bit of it. So I saw them, like I said, at the Borderline in London. Great little venue, great sound. And, well, anyone would normally moan, but a fire alarm went off just a couple of songs in. Actually, during the song The Storm. And it was a false fire alarm, but everyone had to evacuate. And I got to meet one of the people that have looked up to since the band first started, you know. So I got to meet Eric Martinson, took a couple of photos with him, with my mates and my wife. What a night, and they came back in. It was only about a 15-minute outside. They came back in and absolutely blew us away with the rest of the set. What a fantastic night, one of the best gigs I've ever been to. Perfect night. So that was an experience and a half. So next up, the latest album, 2019, Paradigm.
Believers, deceivers, turn into bitter cheaters. In fever, we are the stars of the masquerade. Believers, deceivers, turn into bitter cheaters. In fever, we are the stars of the masquerade.
So where this even had a little bit more experimentation, but still kept with their melodic hard rock side, but chucking in a little bit more folky sort of stuff, you know, but perfectly done, because this is what a band needs to do now. Now they've got about 5 albums. Is it 5? 1, 2? Yeah, this is like the 4th album, that's like they're up to their best. And now it becomes a difficult stage for a band. What do you do? Do you carry on doing the same, you know, formula? Do you carry on sounding exactly the same? Or do you do something different?
Can't be saints, can't be sinners, can't be losers, can't be winners. We are one. Yeah, we are one. We stand united. We fight until the end. We never stop, never break, never bend. We stand united. Together rise and fall. 'Cause it's all for one for all.
Now, you don't do it completely different, because then you alienate fans that have been there since the beginning. You don't want to do that. But what you do is you just put little elements of your art in there, a little bit of folky sort of stuff. You know, change a few arrangements of songs, and it's exactly what they've done with Paradigm. It's absolutely perfect because they managed to pull that off, and it's not hard. There's a lot of bands that have failed at doing something a little bit different in the past, but I think they understand that it's not about completely changing. It's about giving the fans that little bit something different each time, and it's perfect. Some of the standout tracks on here are just fantastic. Viva La Victoria, Shelter Me, what a great song. United, When the Winter Ends, just full of great tracks. What a brilliant album. That's their last album they did. But then they brought out this in 2020. I've actually got this to show you, Blu-ray. So this is a live Blu-ray. You can get it on CD, on all the formats, you know, if you want to. But this is how to get it, like this, on a Blu-ray, in concert.
You better run, get away, we gotta take you down. We're singing Viva La Victoria. So run, get away, you gotta lose your crown. We're singing Viva La Victoria. Viva La Victoria.
Viva La Victoria live. Very cool album. This has also got it's got a set that they did, like a lockdown set. So they did a full set basically in lockdown, online gig, and it was full filmed properly, and it was absolutely fantastic. That's brilliant as well. You've got a big documentary on here. There's hours and hours of stuff on here, about 3 hours worth. So, you know, if you want to start here, you can. But what you get on this is a lot of their newer stuff. So the gig that is mainly covered, the main concert on this is like a promotion, if you like, and they played a lot of their newer songs off Viva La Victoria. But you know, you get about half of it, or say, you know, just under half of it is the new stuff, but you get a lot of their hits from the old albums as well. This is great. It's got a brilliant sound, there's a brilliant production, excellent filming and editing, absolutely fantastic. Get it out now, absolutely fantastic. And then just one thing to mention, the last thing, is that I interviewed Eric Martinson. So to interview someone who you look up to all the many years, I mean, I got to meet him outside a pub, you know, for a quick photo, and I thought that would, you know, I was just blown away from doing that. Then he actually come on the channel and he gave me an interview, half-hour interview, and you can look back at that. There's some clips of music as well on that. You can look back at that on my channel, on the interview playlist. And man, he's such a nice guy. You know, he spoke about how he's trying to, what I just talked about then on the last album, where he tried to experiment with different stuff, but not too far. Such a nice bloke. Talked about what he's going to be doing next. So it looks like we're getting some stuff from Nordic Union. And obviously we had the Wet stuff, which was out at the time. And he also talked about an album. And it looks like we're going to get an album this year from Eclipse. Man, and I know you know, we've had some great albums already, but without a doubt, Eclipse will be right up there, probably in my top 5 albums of the year, without a doubt. They are a fantastic band, you know, and I'm so excited because it's weird, isn't it? Because they've been out since 1999, first album in 2001, I think I said. 20 years, and they just seem like a new band. It's just amazing. And like I'm saying, that it's unheard of for a band to be going to making music this good for that amount of time. And then 4 albums especially have been top notch. top of people's lists. Amazing band, sometimes overlooked in certain countries. That's why they're on my A to Z. Hope you enjoyed the video. Looking forward to the letter F.